What's up, everybody? Welcome to the next episode of Dev and the Bear, where we're going to be talking about UFC 292, which is going to be kind of an interesting lineup as far as timeline, where a couple weeks ago we had a lot of bantamweight matchups like Sandhagen and Font, and then 2 weeks later we're going to have O'Malley and Aljamain Sterling fight for the title. So that's pretty cool. Kind of get one potential title contention match, and then we get the actual title match a couple weeks later. So that's kind of cool. But we're going to go ahead and start talking about that fight. And then we'll go a bit into the card a little afterwards. But Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley is really interesting. I think because you have Aljamain Sterling, who, regardless of what everybody thinks or feels, that he's proved himself time and time again. He's very, very good. He's as good as it gets. There are people who can contend with him, but they didn't beat him. So whether or not they should have doesn't matter. They didn't. So O'Malley hasn't gone against... He went against Peter Yan. Kind of beat him. That was a whole thing. But stylistically, can he beat Aljamain Sterling? I think that's the question we're going to have to see the most in their fight is, does his style work well against Aljamain? Because I think Aljamain, we saw Peter Yan have a lot of success with takedowns. Aljamain's way better at it than Peter Yan. So if Peter Yan had success, Aljamain Sterling's probably going to have success, and he's going to be a lot more controlling when he's on top. So I think O'Malley's in trouble.
I think it's a close one. I think it's a lot closer than people are going to give him credit for, because you have the people who vouch for you have the people that vouch for Sean O'Malley, and then you have the people who just hate Sean O'Malley. So it kind of goes both ways. But Sean O'Malley is I don't think he's somebody to be underestimated, especially after that Petr Yan fight. We really see how good he is. I think Sean O'Malley is a great fighter. I think he is getting a title shot because he kind of needs to be there. And so what's it called? So I think where he's at is exactly where he needs to be in his career. I think he's gonna go out there and he's gonna prove why he's fighting for the number one for the title. But I don't know, man. I just feel like people don't really give Sean O'Malley the credit he deserves, because they just say, oh, he's still too young in his career or this and that, which I just think they just look at how he acts outside of the octagon and not how he is inside.
As far as saying he's too young in his career, he's been fighting a long time now. He's been doing it for a while. He hasn't been fighting top guys very long. So that's, I think, the argument that they're trying to make. Whether or not that's what they're saying, maybe it's not even what people genuinely mean. Maybe they do think he just hadn't fought long enough, but he's been fighting for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think that he hasn't fought top guys very long. He's fought, Yan,
Pedro
Munoz. I don't really consider Thomas Almeida a top guy, but
Thomas Almeida has been the top
that's a name that he fought
since 2015.
Yeah,
it's hard because you look at his resume and it's okay, he's not really fighting top guys. Why is he getting a title shot? But then you put him in there against the number one guy in the world besides the champion, and he puts on a fire. They're fighting fire with fire. They're going back and forth. They're rocking each other, and he won.
Regardless of what you think happened, he won. He did enough to convince some people he won. That's kind of how the sport works sometimes. As frustrating as it is, it's not a perfect clear-cut system, and that's the issue we had with Aljamain and Sterling. I mean, Aljamain, who is Sterling, when he fought Yan or Cejudo, a lot of people thought the other won in some of the fights, but same thing with O'Malley and Yan. A lot of people thought Yan won. I thought Yan won, but he didn't, so move on.
It's hard because so you look at the Yan fight, and it's where what's his name hurt, where Sean O'Malley hurt Petr Yan. He hurts him right back with the same exact thing that Sean O'Malley got him with. And just to show, because Pettr's okay, you're going to hit me with this, I'm going to hit you with the same exact thing back, but I'm going to do it better. And it's but to see Sean O'Malley go in there against somebody who has the striking caliber of somebody like Petr Yan and hang with
and
them.
Go toe-to-toe. It also helps that he's twice his size.
Yeah, it helps a lot, a lot. And so, but I think Sean O'Malley, you got to give him the credit. I mean, he's a great fighter, but with Aljamain, I think his back's against the wall in this fight. He's taken this fight on a pretty quick turnaround from his last fight. Yeah, I mean the UFC kind of coerced him into it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of strong armed him into doing something with it, because he did really didn't want to take this fight. He wanted it to wait, but UFC was dead set on having a main event for UFC Boston, and they wanted O'Malley there. Um, and
Did they
so
force him to walk in the cage?
they presented the idea, which I thought was like really fucking bad. Like we
It
talked
is.
about, like
Yeah,
it could go
but
south really quick.
what I'm saying is they didn't force him to walk in that cage.
Uh,
You walk in that cage, you know exactly what's going to happen next. You're going to get the title shot.
Yeah, and so I think
We've all seen
I think
WWE
the
at some
UFC was
point.
like, I think they had Joe Rogan ask what's his name. They had asked Aljamain about it, and then right after his win, and then after that, Sean O'Malley comes sneaking up, which I'm like, he could have just walked up to him and sucker punched him right there. But where's your security team? You want to sit there and hype up this fucking fight? It's like this isn't going well. They did the same exact thing with Izzy and fucking what's his name.
Dricus?
Yeah, Dricus. Like they just like let Izzy walk in there when he didn't even know he was coming in. Eventually they're like, he's right there. It's like good thing they all told him, hey, he's
Yeah,
coming
good
in the
thing he
cage.
has some common sense and
Yeah,
personal restraint.
yeah. And I'm like, this could have all went really, really bad. But like I think with Aljamain, he talked about how like going into the Cejudo fight, he had some injuries, and so with this fight, it was such a quick turnaround from May, I believe, was when they fought. I think was the last time he
Something
fought,
like that.
and so he's having a fight in August now against another top world fighter with Sean O'Malley, and he's having to fight somebody who really I think, can give Aljamain a run for his money. We already know exactly what Sean O'Malley can do to win. We know what Aljamain Sterling can do to win.
Well, tell me this. What does Sean O'Malley do to win?
I think he knocks him out. Or he outboxes him and stuffs all the takedowns.
You think he stuffs all the takedowns?
No, that's how he. But if he wants to win, we're talking about like if he wants
Well,
to
I'm
win.
saying how what does Sean O'Malley do to win the fight?
He keeps his distance, keeps his range. He's gonna have to throw feints to keep Aljamain guessing on exactly what he wants to do. He makes Aljamain try to take him down, but then knows his range well enough to kind of get away from him. Sean O'Malley has really good footwork also, so I think that footwork is going to be able to play into his favor when it comes to Aljamain trying to close that distance to shoot for that double leg. Because we saw Pator shoot for a double leg with like almost no effort, and get him down.
Yeah.
And so
So you take someone with the level of wrestling that Aljo has. I think he gets Sean O'Malley down. Maybe not right off the bat, but I think at a certain point early on in that fight, he's going to be able to take Sean O'Malley down whenever he wants.
yeah,
And I don't think Sean O'Malley's going to stop it.
No.
I think his footwork is going to get ruined because of those takedowns. I don't think he's going to know how to really deal with that kind of pressure of a wrestler.
yeah,
Because my thing going into the Cejudo fight was how good is how good is Sterling's wrestling compared to an Olympic level wrestler?
right,
It's pretty good. We learned that it's pretty freaking good.
yeah.
So I don't see O'Malley, who couldn't stop Peter Yan's takedowns, being able to stop Aljamain's takedowns.
Yeah, I mean, I think with what Aljamain's gonna have to do to win this, his striking defense is gonna have to be on point. It's gonna have to be perfect that night because of how quick O'Malley is and with that reach that he has. He's gonna have to check every kick. He's gonna have to not bite on any of the feints. Just be ready for those. If he bites on the feints, make sure your guard's in the right place. When it comes to the punches, just have your hands up because if he's able to completely shut down Sean's offense and not fall for the feints and not bite onto any little games that Sean's trying to play with him. I mean, Sean O'Malley doesn't have a 5-round gas tank, and
I was going to bring that up too. Look at his Moutinho fight, all that output, and he started fading in the third round, and Moutinho started kind of stepping it up with what he was doing, which was
getting punched
maybe not a lot.
Yeah,
but Sean O'Malley didn't know what to do after a minute. He was just throwing random shots and running away after a while because he couldn't sit and do that anymore. So yeah, I think his cardio is going to come into question. I don't think he has bad cardio. I think he has good cardio. You put that kind of output, you're going to get tired. But you're going to have to really, really, really step it up if you want to fight a 5-round fight against someone like Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah. I think, I'm sure he has good cardio. He trains hard. I mean, he trains often. I know that we see him joke around social media and all that shit, man, but you really can't fall into that as what Sean O'Malley actually does for his training camps. He puts a lot of time in. Tim Welch, who's a really, really cool dude, which is, I watched one of his interviews he did with Eric Hawani recently, probably back whenever this fight was first trying to get made. And, I mean, Tim Welch does not let Sean fuck around. Like, he lets him have his fun, yeah, but when it comes down, it's time to coach him, he coaches him. And I don't think somebody like Tim Welch will let Sean O'Malley let the fame get to his head because Sean O'Malley blew up at a young age. You
Yeah.
know, now he's a grown man now. He's not a he's not a young man.
What was he? Was he on a Contender Series?
Yeah, he
or
was on the Contender Series.
That's so
Yeah.
weird to think that the Contender Series was so long ago.
Yeah, it is nuts as shit to think about, but it's also crazy to say that because his Contender Series has produced more stars than the Ultimate Fighter has as of recently.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just something to think about. It's like, okay, so maybe we should just take the Contender Series then. But I don't know.
I like Tough. I'm not too crazy about this current season, but
I don't think
that's
anybody
off
is.
topic.
Yeah,
It's all right. The
So-
fight, the one that just happened, Jason
Yeah.
Knight and Kurt Hollabaugh, that was a really, really good fight.
yeah.
Especially if you're Kurt Hollabaugh.
I mean, dude, I just enjoy dogfights like that, man. But yeah, man, I think this fight right here, though, we already know what Aljamain's gonna have to do to win the fight. It's gonna have to be take him down and get his back and just be a backpack for 5 rounds. It would be cool to see him probably try to distribute a ton of damage while he's on the ground. You know,
I was about to say I could see a lot of guard work happening because Sean O'Malley has a really good guard.
yeah,
I think he'll be a little tricky to pass. If anyone can do it, Aljo can. But I think he's tricky to pass, so I think I'd like to see Aljo work a lot of elbows from guard.
yeah,
Get Sean trying to overextend and get him away, create distance, and then pass the guard that way.
yeah. I mean, I think I could also I would like to see some half guard work from Aljamain. You know, elbows to the knees, elbows to the thighs. Even if there's a position where Sean's on his back, kick his legs. 'Cause that's gonna be one of his biggest things though, is taking out those legs. Because and not that Sean O'Malley talked about this before, and he hates whenever people bring up
The Cheeto Vera?
excuse me, what's it called? If people bring up the Cheeto Vera thing,
Yeah.
he said DC brings it up all the time, but it's like, dude, like we have known you to be susceptible to leg kicks. We've seen you get injured twice on your legs before, early in your career. But I mean, everybody has a weakness. Nobody's perfect, you know. It just happens to be his Achilles heel. So, yeah, no pun intended. But it was, I think that's going to be Aljamain's best bet is just to really attack those legs early too, to where whenever it's time for him to start utilizing his wrestling, is it's just taking out those legs. So Sean O'Malley's reaction time is taken away from that. He's not able to do much with it, you know. But the problem with Aljamain though, he has very awkward stand up. He has very unorthodox stand up, and if he just tries to set up a kick, he just throws the kick out. I think it's gonna be the worst thing. I think he needs what I'm trying to say is if he just throws a kick just to throw it and just to hit him in the legs, I think it's gonna be the worst thing. I think he needs to actually set it up. If he has some good defense, throw the kick to the inside, throw the kick to the outside, calf kicks, you know, is really do damage to those legs instead of because if he just decides to say fuck it, I'm gonna throw a leg kick, Chris Weidman style, I think it's gonna be the worst thing you can do. Just because I mean you're telegraphing what you're doing, you're giving it away, you're not setting up exactly what you're doing, and I don't know if Aljamain's of that caliber of striking to be able to set up leg kicks.
He was able to stand up with Peter Yan too.
Yeah.
So you can't take that away from him.
He did lose those rounds.
Sean O'Malley, yeah, but so Sean O'Malley lost all the rounds too.
Yeah.
And again, I think he should have lost the fight, not just a round. But I'm just saying Aljo's stand up is not that bad. It's pretty good.
No, it's not terrible. It's just when it comes to what we've seen his stand up versus we seen Sean O'Malley stand up.
Yeah, Sean O'Malley is obviously a more natural striker.
Yeah.
Than Aljo is. Aljo's a natural wrestler. So
yeah. And I mean his wrestling's great, and I like Aljamain Sterling. I was watching MMA on Point talk about this, and they were saying, you know, who says they actually get excited for Aljamain Sterling fight? And I felt offended because I get excited to see Aljamain Sterling fights, you know.
But you didn't get offended for DJ.
What's that?
You didn't get. I'm sorry. What I said.
Dude,
you didn't get excited for DJ.
Dude, honestly, man, back in the day, I was just not really fucking with it, man. I knew Demetri Johnson was the shit,
The
but
flyweight goat.
yeah, great, arguably the greatest of all time. I
don't even think it's fair to say arguably. GSP is the greatest of all time, but if someone said, "Nah, DJ is the greatest of all time," that's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really argue it, but I don't know, man. Some of his fights, I just were not feeling it. I would sit and watch his Tim Elliott fight. Wasn't a fan of it.
But you get excited for Aljamain Sterling.
I would say that, yeah.
There's not a single fight Aljamain Sterling had that you thought was kind of boring.
Oh, dude.
And felt it should be held against him for the rest of his career, like you did with DJ. And
I didn't know. Whoa.
And his Tim Elliott fight.
Excuse me. Okay, I'm not. I've never held fights against DJ for.
You just did.
but it's just I'm bringing up examples of fights that I'm just like, okay, I don't really
Yeah,
care
and I'm
for this
asking
fight.
for an example of
An
an
Aljamain
Aljo
fight
fight
that I had a good time watching.
that you didn't have a good time
I
watching.
didn't have a good time watching. It'd probably be, let's see, probably the Pedro Munoz fight. I was like, the fight kind of sucked. But yeah,
So you don't think though that
to be honest with you, I've never even seen that fight. I'm just named a quick fight.
oh,
But no, Aljamain fights, I look forward. Whenever I really got onto the Aljamain hype train was whenever he beat Corey Sandhagen.
that was a good fight.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like what he fucking went out there and just absolutely he sunned him. Like
I liked him. Couldn't tell you the year. I remember watching the fight, and I just remember paying attention to him, and I remember telling my friend Jacob about him, and like, this freaking dude, Aljamain Sterling, he's a great grappler. He's a fun dude. He's got a really good build for striking. Didn't pick it up the way I would want him to, but that's all right. But who was it that he got that? What is it called? The Soluev?
I know what you're talking about, the silhouette stretch.
Yeah, who was it that he got that on?
I don't remember. Was it Brandon Davis? No. Brandon Davis was still a featherweight when he got this. He got it the same night Zabit got it. Zabit got it on Brandon Davis. I don't remember. I think it was Cody Stammen. Maybe.
Yeah, it was Cody Stammen.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, he's awesome,
dude,
and he's awesome because he was riding his back, like you're saying. He knows how to be a good backpack.
Yeah,
and then the leg was there, so he went for it, and I'm like, you're freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And people need to recognize.
He's a great fighter, man. He really is. Just like with DJ, people need to recognize he was a great fighter. He might be fighting Bradley Martin soon.
Hopefully. I hope so.
He's 260,
cool
brother.
if you beat him up.
You understand that, right?
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, that's what he tells everybody. I don't know if you've seen the clips.
No,
but he was talking to Nate Diaz, or he was talking with fucking Devin. One of the guys who be like, I'm 260, brother. Like, you understand I'm 260. Like, it's not going to be an easy fight against me. And that's what he says. He's like, I'll drop you on your...
I was 260 once.
I don't know,
it's
man.
not that big of a deal.
But guess how much you weigh now, though? How much you...
I was fat. That's all.
No, it says, but Brendan, he's talking to Brendan Schaub about all this, and he was like, I'll just slam him on their head and, drop an elbow. And then Brendan Schaub was like, it's not that easy. Like, it's not going to go down like that.
And also, Never mind.
I think
seen Nate Diaz slam someone else on their head.
I think what it is, man, is I think there's people in the comments that just can't let bodybuilders be bodybuilders or powerlifters like Bradley. Bradley Martin has a fuck ton of functional strength. He's explosive as shit. We've seen it before. Like I used to keep up with him a little bit. But I think what it is there's so many people in these comments on social media. They're like, let me see you against a 5'7", 160-pound blue belt. And it's like... Dude, like fucking, just leave these people alone, man. Like, they're minding their own business. If they want to lift weights, let them fucking lift weights.
Well, he's minding his own business until he starts calling out fighters.
I think that just those kind of comments got to him eventually, where he just felt super insecure and was like, "I need to fight everybody."
I outside of the DJ stuff and the Diaz stuff, I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I mean, he hangs out with the fucking Nelk boys and shit, I think. But yeah,
so I don't want to.
But he's a pretty cool dude. But during the pandemic, like he was like, "Fuck them, keeping my gym open because I need to keep a business and shit," and just like told California, like the government was like, "I'm not closing my fucking gym." So yeah,
I mean, good for him.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
back to the card.
Try to fight from Brendan Schaub too. But yeah.
Back to the card. Brendan Schaub matters less than Bradley Martin does in the MMA world.
Yeah, as of right now, yeah. But yeah, man, what's it called? So this is how I see the fight going down. Is either Aljamain by decision or Sean by knockout. And if
I could see Aljamain getting a 4th or 5th round submission.
Yeah.
Maybe even 3rd.
I would be happy to see him get a finish, because I feel like he gets no respect as champ. Like,
I think Aljo wins this fight though, either by submission or decision.
I'm putting money on this fight, so I need you to get a good pick for me.
I agree that if Sean O'Malley wants to win, he keeps it on the feet. I just don't think he's going to be able to keep it on the feet. So he needs a really quick knockout where he catches Aljo. He has to be aggressive but not stupid. He even this is going to be controversial to say he's not aggressive, but I don't think Sean O'Malley's an aggressive striker. He's a technical striker. He picks his shots, but to say he's aggressive is just kind of weird. I don't think he is an aggressive pressure striker. I think he's got a good pace when he's on. but he takes a minute to turn it on because he wants to pick his shots first.
Yeah.
And then he has to start kind of like showboating a little bit, and then he turns it on. Like he has to be feeling it first. And I don't think he's ever going to be able to be feeling it against Aljo. Aljo wins.
Yep. So co-main event time. What we got?
We have Weili Zhang and Amanda Lemos. I like watching Weili Zhang.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. I think that'll be a good fight. Ian Gary is Jeff Neal not backed out. He pulled out because of an injury and was replaced with Neil Magny, who Ian Gary wanted to fight originally. And I'm not sure how happy I am about it, because I was really happy because Jeff Neal can knock Ian Gary out cold. And I'm a big Ian Gary fan. I'm a big Jeff Neal fan too. So I was like, I'm not happy with this. So him getting replaced, I'm like, okay, cool. And then it's like, oh, it's Neil Magny.
Yeah.
Neil Magny's so freaking good at winning fights by decision. He's so good at outworking people. And Ian Gary's so young. He's not as experienced as Neil Magny. I think he has a lot of holes that Neil Magny's going to know how to exploit. So kind of just as worried about it. But at least I won't see him get knocked out cold.
I think so. Okay, hold on. How was Amanda Lemos getting a fucking title shot?
That's why we moved on.
Okay, so
I don't know.
I thought I haven't seen her.
I think she's won something.
Like one fight.
2, Michelle Watterson and Marina Rodriguez.
Okay, Marina Rodriguez, I get that.
She's a good fighter. You beat her.
Yeah, I get that. I don't get the Michelle
Watterson.
Jesus Christ!
Like a tune-up fight. And that's sad to say for Michelle Watterson.
Yeah,
but it's true.
I like Michelle Watterson.
Yeah,
but
everyone likes her. She's a fun person. She's a good fighter.
It doesn't make sense to me though. Like, how can you just get like 2 fights and then, hey man, by the way, you're fighting for a title? Like, what the fuck is that? I mean, you're that division isn't fucking scarce either. There's a lot of contenders in that division, so you just give it to whoever's next. Like, oh man, dude. I know Esparza is gonna be out because she's pregnant.
I was about to say, I think they're just tired of dealing with the same few names.
Little fight triangle.
Namajunas, Esparza.
Well, Namajunas is going up.
She's going up?
Yeah, she's going up. She's fighting Manon Ferro.
Oh.
Yeah.
This will be the first time in a long time I'm not going for Rose.
Yeah.
I like Ferro.
So she's going up to strawweight. I forgot who else. Tatiana Suarez says she should be fighting for the title. I agree with it.
Yeah.
But who else? But yeah, man. So back to the fucking Ian
Gary and Neil Magny. Neil Magny could easily win that fight by
decision.
Just exploiting all these holes that Ian Gary has, which is like leaving his hands down, getting pieced up a little bit from the outside.
It's crazy because all the fucking commentators do talk about how good his hands are, dude. And I'm like, you get punched a lot.
His hands are really good.
Yeah, offensively.
Getting hit has nothing to do with your hands, other than them not being up.
His striking offense is great. Let me fucking clarify. They fucking jizz everywhere talking about his fucking striking offense. His defense, though, dude, it's like, holy shit. I get that, you have the confidence to take a good shot, but like he'll take a good shot.
He's taking good shots from people who don't deliver shots the way someone like Jeff Neal does.
Yeah, and so like the thing is though, is like also though is that like he's okay with taking shots because he thinks he can take everything that they throw at him, and it's like you just haven't got hit by like a good striker.
Yeah,
and I think Jeff Neal was gonna do it.
If you're being offered Jeff Neal and Neil Magny, that's who you're fighting now. Yeah. Is great strikers or great grapplers. You are no longer fighting people who you can beat. You're fighting people who you have to fight.
Like his last fight, like he was struggling with it. Like I can't remember his name.
I wouldn't say he was struggling. There was like a midpoint in the first round, and from then on, it was him.
I mean, it was just like he was.
Was it Gerald Green?
No, he fought Gerald Green. I think his second.
Oh, Daniel Rodriguez, wasn't it?
No, shit. You know what I'm talking? I'm sorry. The fight before that. Before the Daniel, he did fight Daniel Rodriguez last time.
He looked real good against Daniel Rodriguez.
Yeah, but also Daniel Rodriguez, like, I mean, I'm a big fan of Daniel Rodriguez, but
me too. He's not Jeff Neal.
No, he's not.
I think Jeff Neal is a very good defining line of if you're good, you can beat Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
If you're ready, I'll say if you're ready, because Daniel Rodriguez is good. If you're ready, you can beat Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
And even then, you probably might not, because all he needs is 1 or 2 hits, and then he's going to go off on you because he's very good at picking up on combinations. And yeah, Shavkat, that fight was insane.
Yeah. But
Song Kinan.
Yeah.
Finished him.
Yeah. but he was getting tagged, like he was getting hurt.
Finished him.
So I guess, but I mean, I don't know, man. You always
Gregory
got like
Rodriguez almost died,
what?
and he won by knockout.
So
So should you say that shouldn't count or something?
I'm not saying it doesn't count. It's still a win. A win is a win, but it's just like,
and he knocked him out.
but it's just like whenever you get a guy like Jeff Neal or Neil Magny, it's like, okay, like
Yeah, I agree. You can't be getting hit like that.
you can't be getting hit like that at all.
I agree. But Gabriel Green, not Gerald Green. I said Gerald Green. Gabriel Green. I think in the first round, Gabriel Green was getting after it, and that kind of caught Ian Gary by surprise. But then at a certain point, he just picked it up and never had to let off.
That fight went to decision. I remember that.
And that was a good fight. The fight against Son Kanani won by TKO, which I was very happy about because I like Son Kanan. Daniel Rodriguez, I was very impressed with him in that fight. I thought that fight was going to be tougher for him, and he looked really good in it. Neil Magny, again, is a different level, I think. I don't think Ian Gary's ready for that level yet. He could still win the fight. I'm just hoping that if he wins the fight, it's not like he didn't catch Neil Magny early. I'm hoping he has to fight a little bit because I want him to learn something. Because I want him to grow and be great.
That's the thing about Neil Magny. I just feel like his fight IQ is high enough to where
good.
I feel like his fight IQ is high enough to where he knows how he can win, and that's it. And
that's all he needs.
It just bothers the shit out of me. So I'm like, dude, you're really good. Like, finish a fucking fight. 14 decisions, dude. He does have the most wins in welterweight history. Don't get me wrong.
And I'll say this: like, I get frustrated watching some of his fights too. I agree, but they're not boring. Like, it's not like he's going in there and standing there and no one's throwing strikes. It's not Israel Adesanya and Yoel Romero.
Yeah.
It's not Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas.
Yeah.
These are fights where people are throwing and he's taking them down, or he's throwing back at them while on his back foot. His fight against Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
It was a great fight. Technical fight, chess match of a fight the whole time, but so maybe not the most exciting, but it was a good fight.
Right. But I think Ian Gary probably wins that one though. Just knowing how he is with
he pulls it out.
I think he does though, man. Just because I think what's it called? Pause. But I think he does manage to pull off the win. And just because when it comes to Neil Magny's fight style, like he evades a lot, and I think Ian Gary's gonna look better just because of the output.
He's also going to be a little harder to evade. I think Neil Magny's used to being the rangy guy, and Ian Gary can be rangy too.
So I wish the Jeff Neal fight would happen, just because I think Jeff Neal would have been an absolute banger. But I mean, it is.
I want it to happen. I want Ian Gary to improve a little bit before he fights Neil.
No.
And that's out of my respect to Neil, and I love watching Jeff Neal.
It's just Ian Gary wants that Jeff Neal fight, so give him the Jeff Neal fight.
Well, Jeff Neal was injured. They gave it to him. He's injured.
I mean, like, if he thinks he's ready for it, I mean, find out, man. Let's make it happen.
Well, the next fight's Cody Garbrandt and Mario Batista. I think before we started recording, I said pretty much that's the extent of it. I think if Cody Garbrandt shows up and fights, he's going to look great.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, he's going to get knocked out.
He got a lot of shit for his last performance.
He did, and I'm right there with it.
Really?
I'm saying he's going to get knocked out. I don't think he might get knocked out. With Mario Batista, I think he'll end up. I don't know. Maybe he'll get knocked out. That's
you thought the amount of distaste people had for Cody Garbrandt's last performance was warranted.
I think people are tired of seeing Cody Garbrandt not go in there and look like he used to.
Yeah.
Which it's hard. Like, the level that he fought at when he was on his way to the title was insane. It's frustrating to watch someone that you were in so much support of go in there time and time again and not deliver the way that he used to.
I felt like he delivered his last fight. I think
the way he used to.
When it comes down to the way he used to, I mean, that fighting style was only going to keep getting him knocked out. He changed his fight. I think he looked like an actual MMA fighter. Like,
I'm okay. He comes from wrestling, so I'm okay with his takedowns and stuff. Yeah. But it's like, you're also an amazing striker. Why can't you hang with these guys anymore? Yeah. The game has changed, and you're still young. Why aren't you changing with it?
I think we saw the end of the beginning of that third round, and that's when he was getting hit a little bit, and it's like, okay, now he's looking like a deer in headlights. So I think when it comes down to striking, I think he's been. I mean, it happens whenever you get knocked out brutally. It's just like there's trauma from it, and you got to try to deal with process what just happened while the entire internet is talking shit about you. and I think he's kind of taking that step. He's kind of taking that step back and reassess his game. And I think he looked great his last fight. And so if he comes out and he's able to look the exact same, it's like, okay, now that we need to put him against a top 10 fighter, because this is a former champion we're talking about, you know. So
I think he should always be fighting top 10 guys. He's just too good to not be fighting top 10 guys. And if he keeps losing and keeps getting knocked out the way he has before, maybe just retire.
Yeah.
But because it's like we were talking about with Thomas Almeida not being super relevant. It's like he was so close to being a big deal.
Yeah. Then he
He's
found
just
Cody,
nothing.
then he fought Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah.
And so what's Mario Batista rank?
Was his rank?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so I don't know if he's ranked in the top 10, but I
He
don't
may
think
not
he
be.
is.
I don't think he is either. Yeah, he's got great submissions.
And so I
But,
mean, you know who would be a good fight for him though if he came back? What's that? If he wins this fight, probably the winner of Yanez and who's Yanez fighting?
I already forgot too.
He's got a fight coming. Martinez. Martinez is the one that beat Jacob Swanson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So have him fight the winner. You know,
Yeah, that would be cool. I think that would
So,
be really cool. Giannis fighting Garbrandt, that would be freaking crazy.
dude, that'd be nuts.
Fighting Font, Garbrandt, that's awesome.
I mean, it's just, you know, he's got good hands, so let's see him go against these great strikers in this division, you know?
I think Garbrandt. Oh, that would be a really good fight. That would be a really good fight.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that another time. But so next you have Chito Vera and Pedro Munoz, another great bantamweight fight with maybe not title shot talks in the air, but like the next, if they whoever wins that fight, their next win could be for title shot. I think both of them are right there. Chito Vera definitely is.
Yeah. I think with Pedro Munoz needs a win. Like I think he won his last one recently. I don't remember, but I know that since the Cody Garbrandt knockout, he hasn't really he's fought tough competition. I think he's fought like nothing but former
I
champions.
was going to say, he's fought nothing but tough guys.
Yeah, he's fought nothing but either former or future champions.
Yeah, he's coming off a win.
Yeah. So with Chito Vera though, Chito Vera looked kind of rough in his last fight against Corey Sandhagen, which
But
is
it's
expected.
also, it's Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah, it's
tough.
expected. So it's hard to hold it against them, but it's like he needs a win to keep the not in the sense of relevancy for the crowd, but in the sense of relevancy for the division, you know. And so I think if the problem is if Cheeto kind of lets Pedro play his game, then it's going to shut him down, because the game that Pedro plays is exactly what Corey used to beat him. You know, he mixed up the striking with the wrestling.
Yeah.
And Cheeto sits on the back foot sometimes, and he just waits for that moment, you know, find that opening, and he sets up that opening really, really well. But
I will say, I think that the style and the physical, maybe not physical, the natural features that Corey Sandhagen has, his length and his reach,
oh yeah,
plays a lot into that style, and I think that's something that's going to give everybody trouble that he fights. I don't know that Pedro Munoz will be able to pull off that same kind of style against Cheeto.
yeah. I mean, we'll see though. I mean, I think, but Cheeto's just not gonna have to let Pedro bully him into where he wants the fight to go. You know, I think Cheeto's gonna have to establish that respect right away with Pedro.
Yeah, and I feel like Cheeto wins the fight. He's just a bit more experienced and kind of bigger. What's the word?
More dynamic in the striking too.
More dynamic of a striker. He's used to having more eyes on him, for lack of a better expression. But I think this is in the middle of the card, so it's not like it's the main event or the co-main event.
Yeah.
But I think Chito Vera is kind of at a point where he's like, okay, I've fought at the top of the level, and I'm ready to go back.
Yeah.
Pedro has fought nothing but top guys, but he didn't have success. And Cheeto had success, lost to Corey, and I think he can easily go back. So I'm going Cheeto.
I hope Cheeto wins too. That's kind of my pick, but I really don't know how he wins though. He just has all types of ways to win, you know. So
there's a bunch of names on this card that are really good. Gregory Rodriguez is fighting Andre Petrosky, who I wanted to like, but I don't. He's fighting Gerald Meerschaert, who I do like. So I hope Andre goes in there, takes him down, and he gets a triangle real fast. That would be awesome.
Petros's gonna be looking for the takedown.
Yeah, 100%. That's all he does.
Yeah.
So there's a few other fights on there that are really good. The Ultimate Fighter fight is Austin Hubbard and Kurt Hollowbaugh. That'll be a good one. But one I'm really excited for, and this is the one we'll finish up on, Chris Weidman and Brad Tavares. Two names who have been around forever at this point, and they're finally fighting each other, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But they're going to go in there, and it's going to be really interesting because I don't see this being the kind of slugfest that Brad Tavares likes, but I also don't see it being like a technical striking match like Chris Weidman likes.
Yeah.
It's going to be a weird fight, I think because it'll stay on the feet. I don't see either guys going for a takedown. I think Chris Weidman should, but he won't.
I won't be surprised if he does because he knows he needs to win. I think if he wins, this is his last fight. I hope it's his last fight too.
Yeah.
And not in like a fucked up way, but it's because I'm such a big fan of him and what he does and what he's represented since he started fighting. Like, he's stayed true to himself, but I don't know. He doesn't have another run for the title left in him though. But
no.
He's talked about going in there and just blasting with a leg kick when he gets.
To get over the fear.
I'm like, you need to chill the fuck out.
Don't announce that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. It's like, you set it up if you're going to do it. Please throw a jab, maybe switch it up and throw it to the inside. It's, fake the jab. But I mean, I'm excited for this fight. It's crazy because like the reason why we never seen this fight also is because while Chris Weidman was at the top, Tavares was trying to fight his way into the top. And then now that they pretty much like Weidman's been playing limbo in exactly which division he wanted to be in. He wants a light heavyweight. Then he hasn't really been able to pick up any solid wins to get back to the title contention. And now that he's in the twilight of his career, Brad Tavares has always been a tough fight for anybody. He's fought some of the who's of the division. And, he's fought Israel Adesanya. He's fought fucking Robert Whittaker. He's fought Drix Duplessis, who's the future title contender. I mean, you can go on. The list goes on with him. He's never really been able to break into the top 10 either. So, I don't know. I'm pulling for Chris, though, by decision, though, man.
I would love to see Chris go in there and get a classic knockout and be like, all right, that's all I wanted to do. I'm done here.
But this is also MMA, and we also know how this always goes. Whenever we know it's someone's last fight, they get knocked out hellaciously. So
sometimes.
Hopefully it doesn't happen.
But before we end here, another news: Derek Lewis signed an 8-fight deal with the UFC.
Yep.
So he's not going anywhere, and that's nice.
Wish he would have went and fought Nagano.
I'm all right without it.
We need a redemption.
It was boring the first time we saw it.
We need the redemption arc for that storyline, dude.
Redemption from what?
That was a shitty fight.
Well, his redemption is all his other fights after. What do you want from him?
Yeah, I guess, man. So,
yeah, that's UFC 292. Let us know what your thoughts are on O'Malley and Aljo. Yep. Kind of blanked there on their names, and I feel like I'm stupid for that.
This is a long epilogue.
Let us know if I'm stupid for that. Am I stupid for that? I'm stupid for that. It's okay. You can say it. Okay.